Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I get to sit in front of the microphone again, yay! But in all seriousness, on June 30th, CCP released Warlords hotfix 1.1.3, which focused largely on the mobility of the drop suits with a small touch to shield recharging. Specifically, the logistics and the commandos received a large speed buff, almost about 0.35 meters per second for the commandos, which increases the difference between the commandos and the sentinels, making the commandos a bit faster. Basic heavies also received a smaller buff to speeds, but in my eyes the more important changes has to be with the assault suits. Previously, some assault suits like the Minotaur assault could stack kinetic catalyzers and run fast enough to cause issues with the hit detection, rendering them very difficult to deal with. Now, with the reductions to speeds though and stamina, the Minotaur assault suits are causing less problems. Now when I say speed, I'm actually referring to running speed, which is just when you move the thumbstick fully in one direction, which is different from sprint speed where you actually consume stamina. That being said, CCP has changed a number of speeds, including the crouch speed, walk speed, strafe speed, and the sprint speed and run speed of almost all the suits in the game. Honestly, I can't say that I took full advantage of what was before the update, but I'm sure a few people that understood the magic hoopaju will be a little more like everyone else and not be able to be as big a pain in the neck as possible. Okay, so while the changes to the 4 different types of speeds were mostly the same across the 4 factions, total stamina and stamina recovery seems to be a bit more complex. Outside of the commando drop suits, the Caldari and Galente suits were completely unaffected as far as stamina and stamina recovery is concerned. But the Amar and the Minotaur suits saw substantial nerfs. Minotaur were hit the hardest, of course, but to be honest, most of their stamina recovery needed to be nerfed anyway due to being nearly double what any other faction suits had, without the need for skills or additional modules. However, while the Caldari and the Galente commandos received buffs to their stamina recovery rates, the Amar and the Minotaur received significant nerfs. The Amar still remains stamina champions, maximum stamina, and the Minotaur still have the highest stamina recovery rates though. So there's no real difference in that. If you want to look into more specific details about the 1.1.3 hotfix, I'm going to be putting a link in the Google document spreadsheet released by CCP in the description below, so feel free to check that out. But before we move on to the update 1.2, there's one more thing from the hotfix that I need to address. Okay, the Shield Interruption Threshold, or SIT for short. The SIT feature was previously introduced for vehicles to prevent non-anti-vehicle handheld weapons from easily destroying vehicles. But now it's been applied to drop suits, I guess to provide a small buff to the life expectancy of all the suits. Now, if damage isn't greater than 6 points, the shields will continue to recharge, much like how armor continues to repair even while under fire. Kind of like this feature, but of course everyone needs to keep their eyes out so that it doesn't become some sort of doesn't make some players overpowered in some manner and exploitive. Overall, the Warlords 1.1.3 hotfix consisted of small changes that could have significant influences in the gameplay of Dust, and I for one am very curious to see how it will even out the differences between the numerous suits and players in the game. Now, moving on. Exactly 1 week after 1.1.3 hotfix, on July 7th, Warlords 1.2 was released. And whoa, are there some big changes. The whole reason why this video has taken a couple of days is because of how big some of these changes actually are. First up, the progression system. When I first came to Dust 5.1.4 from EVE Online during the early days of the closed beta, I expected things to be complicated, so I was prepared. There were a number of different skills, bonuses, different types of weapons and drop suits, how the suits moved, the vehicles. There was so many things to look into. It takes a lot, and all of these things can play a big role in the game. But a number of new players didn't understand how they should spend their skill points or what was different between several factions. So with this update, CCP tried to really make it easier for players to accelerate their understanding of all the options available to them without making a bloated tutorial for players, which, tutorials are just kind of annoying to begin with. But anyway, So we have the progression page, which players can find specific loadouts made by CCP, and with a few clicks they can spend their SP into needed skills, and then purchase the suits. This makes it easier for new players to learn how to fit suits, and eventually leads to less deaths on the battlefield. Special point of interest. As you unlock early loadouts on the progression tree, part of the next loadout will already become unlocked due to having the skills to a certain degree. So the more you invest in a single, I guess you could say, tree of the progression page, the easier it is to get to the ending suits. So after unlocking the loadouts, you can then claim a small number of the loadouts to try out. And if you like them, you can put them in your fitting section and then restock the suits at your discretion. Okay. Of course, the progression system will be helpful to new players with fittings and skills, but returning players will notice a large change to drop suits. They should notice specifically how the tier assigned between basic, advanced, and prototype have dissolved a little. From now on, any level of suit in a single role will have the same slot layout. So a basic Minotaur logistics will have the same as an advanced Minotaur logistics. That being said, the CPU and power grid of the different levels will vary to make it necessary still to further invest in the skills and higher tiered suits. So don't worry too much, it's not going to upset too much in my opinion. Of course, there's also another major change to the slot layouts for the commandos and logistics suits. For commandos, the shield-heavy factions will now have 3 high slots and 2 low slots, while the armor factions will have 2 high slots and 3 low slots. For the logistics suits, the Minotaur and Galente factions will have no change, but the Amar logistics suits will lose a low slot, while the Caldari will gain an equipment slot and lose a low slot, I believe. So now they'll have 5 highs, 3 lows, and 4 equipment, while also gaining additional CPU and power grid to the prototype level. So have fun with that. A quick mention as well, just in case, the Apex suits are now tradable, with small adjustments to CPU and power grid so that their power level stays between standard and advanced suits. I know that a lot of players have been making millions of ISK on trades this week, so for those of you who have saved up lots of LP or just don't want the suits anymore, you should try selling them off. Millions of ISK are trading hands this week. For those of you who have invested in the game with real-world money, I'm sure CCP thanks you for support, of course, but you may notice some weird BPOs suddenly appearing in your assets. That's due to the Skin Conversion Initiative, which separates the BPOs from the skins. So if you previously had a Quaif Galente Sentinel, you'll now have a Quaif Heavy Galente Skin BPO and a standard Sentinel Galente BPO. It's not too big of a deal, but it's a nice touch to those who have supported the game. Apex suits are not going to be affected by this, but if you are interested in buying some of these skins and some of these new suits or whatever, you can check them out with the new skin viewer option in the marketplace. So it's a good way to check it out and see what kind of suits you'd like if you would like to support the game. Now, due to popular demand, new squads have been created with this patch. Now you can enter into battles in either squads of 4, 8, or 16. Though only the 4-man squads will be able to enter public matches, and the 16-man squads will be only usable in Planetary Conquest matches. Whew, okay, getting close to the end. The final topic to discuss about Warlords 1.2 update is the Planetary Conquest 2.0. Now, for some time, CCP has wanted to make districts profitable, but after the disaster from passive ISK farming, there wasn't a clear idea of how to do that. So now CCP has, fudged around with a few things and returned with manual clone sales, which provide both ISK and the new form of currency, district credits, or DK. However, individual players of the corps can now profit from the sale of clones as well, so it's not just the corporations making the money. Their payment will be in direct proportion to the amount of command points that they contribute to the corp on a weekly basis. I don't really know what the equation is for that, though, unfortunately. Okay, so players contribute command points by completing daily missions. So the more missions you complete, the more you'll be paid later on. Currently, each mission is worth 100 command points, so do bunches of them. Now, when you receive payment from the sale of clones, it comes in 2 forms, as I said, ISK and district credits. which can be used in the marketplace to purchase unique items. For those corps that do not sell clones too much, don't worry, you can earn district credits in Planetary Conquest battles as well. 200 district credits for each loss and 500 for each win. So, you can win no matter what. If a corporation cannot fight in PC battles on a regular basis due to not owning a district, the new command point currency can be used to buy clone packs for 25,000 command points. And once you own a district, command points will be consumed for every action you perform. So don't think that this is going to be one of those stacking things that the larger corporations will be able to just hold tremendous amounts. You'll be using these things for everything when you have districts. Attacking other districts, selling clones, for instance, moving clones, changing the infrastructure, and changing reinforcement times all consume command points. Of course, it's recommended to actually do something on a regular basis, since there is a cap on command points, which is set at 100,000. So get out there and sell clones or start attacking people. Do something. Okay, which leads into the changes in PC battles. First off, I already talked about the new squad, but for those corporations that regularly use players outside of their corporation or alliance, also known as ringers, you'll notice that ringers will be unable to earn district credits. This is to encourage corporations to regularly recruit and train new members in order to earn those desired district credit points. And for those corporations that don't want the hassle of controlling and defending districts, the new raiding option will be appreciated. Now you'll get the option of keeping what you kill, earning the ISK and district credits based on how much you kill your opponents. And if for some reason you actually take a district, you can ransom or sell the district back to the corporation you took it from. So no big deals. Overall, the Warlords 1.2 update shows a lot of thought by CCP. The new progression system makes it easier for new players to understand the mechanics of the game, while the changes to the suits, slots, tier side, and squads will change up the gameplay a little more, and Planetary Conquest 2.0 will have more corporations going after districts, more of a struggle to hold those districts as well. If at some point you wish to learn more details about the changes to either 1.1.3 hotfix or the 1.2 update, I'll put the necessary links in the description below, so feel free to check them out. As always, I'm BrotherofHavok, and I hope you enjoyed this video.